Cavalier faithful, welcome on into Cavs Encapsulated, the All-Star Break edition. Justin, he's on his own little break himself, sending all of our thoughts to him as he misses this episode. But he has already phoned in his predictions. It's Logan. It's Jeffrey. We are here from the Cleveland Pulse. Welcome on in. Before we get started, hit that like button, subscribe, comment down below. We want to hear your thoughts on a couple things before we get into ours. But mostly we're going to talk about the All-Star break. Obviously, some Cavaliers, being included. Donovan Mitchell, Emoni Bates doing their thing. We're going to talk about the Cavs' first half of the season. How would you grade them? What are your expectations for the second half? Kind of all wrapped into one. And then we're going to react to an article that I thought was interesting, found on Clutch Points. And we're going to do the upcoming week of games prediction. So, Logan, let's start. And I say first half. I should have put it in air quotes because the NBA – I think they actually do a really terrible job of splitting the schedule.
Like the NBA.
I don't. I mean, the in-season tournament, the All-Star game is terrible, which we're going to talk about next. I mean, the whole weekend is terrible, and it makes me feel bad because Indiana's a basketball state. I felt like they tried their best, like the production, the LED screen. I thought Indy tried their damnedest to make it a good weekend. It was still really bad, but yeah, I mean, your in-season tournament, that's a mistake, and you can't. Even it out a little bit more. I know you get all these weeks for the postseason, but there's only 29 games left out of 82. That's not a first half. This is the first 2/3. But I want to hear your grade for the first half for our Cleveland Cavaliers, letter grade. And I just want to hear a little bit of your thoughts. How do they have to open up the second half to make it continue?
Sure. Cavaliers battled a lot in the first quote-unquote half of the season. Injuries, worries about the coach, worries about Donovan Mitchell leaving. And for the most part, I'd say all three have mostly subsided for now. I'm sure all three of those things will come back eventually, and we'll talk about it right here on the Cleveland Pulse.
Yep.
But as I got to say, I'm proud. I do. This Cavaliers team is, I think, third or fourth overall in the NBA right now, second in the Eastern Conference, and I think they are just starting and just picking it up. Now, we have to see how it all works. You could argue some light competition. You could argue this or that. I don't really care for your point. Yeah, exactly. I really think the Cavaliers figured something out. And Darius Garland, I'm so happy that he hit a clutch three, hit clutch free throws to close out our final game against the Bulls before the All-Star break. I'm hoping that's a sign of things to come. Give him some confidence because – to me, watching All-Star Weekend this weekend, Tyrese Halliburton is pretty much everything I wish Darius Garland could be for this team. And that's no slight at Garland, and I don't even like Tyrese Halliburton like that. But Garland, if he can figure out his right role, being Mitchell's true wingman, the guy who's setting up everybody and just having a good time out there, not playing like he's scared, and I think that Garland can truly be unleashed. So overall, going into the final half of the season, I'm going to go with an A- as of right now. I was thinking B+, but you know what? They went on one hell of a run, and I'm a little nervous that the All-Star break came at just about the worst time for this Cavalier team that was just starting to find their footing. But based on what they had to battle, based on what they had to overcome, the fact that they sit here at second despite us bitching every single episode, I got to give them their props, A-.
Absolutely. I'm going to follow you up with an A grade from me, honestly, because you're only missing the A+ if you were the first in the conference.
Sure.
Boston is, clearly still a better roster and team than you right now. Maybe not as hot, but still a team nonetheless that is going to be favorites over you in a 7-game series. It's interesting because with so little games left out of the totality of the year, you do see teams try a little bit harder post All-Star break, mostly for seeding, mostly to make sure that you're out of the play-in tournament aspect of the format. But still, you're not going to see full potential and people at especially full strength until the postseason, if that. The A grade for me, it's just because we, like you said, battled through adversity. You already went through some of the injury bug significantly, and other teams are still kind of dealing with that. Like we play a 76ers team, this week, still going to be without Embiid. They'll likely be without Embiid until the postseason if they get him back at all. So a team like that, we could be in a much, much worse situation where you're practically just fighting to stay alive, fighting to stay out of that play-in realm. And we're head and shoulders above those teams right now. Looking ahead to the postseason, it's a little far away. It's the NBA. It's the postseason. There's not going to be an easy matchup. We saw that last year. We made that mistake last year. You have teams kind of jostling below you, like the Magic, like the Pacers, like the Heat, where you could see one of those teams in the first round. And while I think that, we have an opportunity to beat anyone the way that we've been playing basketball recently, there's not going to be a surefire thing moving forward. But overall, great first half. A- from you, A from me. Speaking of the A's, All-Star Weekend. All right. So Donovan Mitchell 3-point contest. Second last place behind Malik Beasley. Didn't even know he was competing until he went out there and shot. It just shows you how tapped in I am. All-Star game, Don reserve. It's pretty tough to make an impact as a reserve. I feel like usually the starters
when you're given 16 minutes overall by Doc Rivers, second lowest on the team.
That's my thing. Like,
what's that about?
And for coming from a in-house JB criticizer, because I'm going to get away from the word hater, because I just feel like, sometimes we criticize the guy, and it's been rightfully so in the past. We've said he's coached at a high level throughout the first half. We're fair. I feel like we're even. But from a JB criticizer in the past, how the hell does he not get to be the coach?
Yeah.
Out of everyone. Oh, they're going, Doc Rivers, Adrian Griffin. He's going to give Adrian Griffin his check. Who cares? Should have been first of all, why it should just be the first team in the East every year. Who cares if Missoula's staff had it last year, disqualifies them? What is this? Is this, you tried, so you're second or third, so you get to coach there? No, right. The team this coaching staff who's first, I don't care if Missoula and Boston's first in the East Conference for the next 10 years. He's going to get real good at coaching the All-Star game. So that's my thing. And then you got Emoni Bates. I felt like who was our best performer. I mean, the kid performs, under the lights, which, when the spotlight's on him, I know it was whatever the G League challenge or whatever it was in an offsite arena, but he still looked good. Logan, I'm curious, just your overall thoughts, whether it's Don, whether it's, the Cavalier presence there, just overall All-Star Weekend thoughts.
I could care less if Donovan didn't win the 3-point contest. Sure, would it be fun? Absolutely. What I did love seeing is him donning that Money Merrill jersey. I think that's honestly really cool. I think that's really cool. And I'm not reading between the lines or saying, he's so happy in Cleveland. I believe he is happy in Cleveland. I believe that just shows, though, that there is some camaraderie with this team. Like, Sam frickin' Merrill, who's that? I bet you everybody else who saw that jersey who were like, Money Merrill, into Google, having no idea who that guy is.
Yep.
I'm telling you, Donovan, that's a really cool teammate thing to do. And honestly, it's like what all the analysts always say the same thing. This guy's a scorer. He's not a shooter. Yeah, that's probably true. Donovan is a good 3-point shooter, but he's a scorer. He's a game time scorer. You can see when he's shooting, he's not really putting his legs into it or anything like that. He
didn't really feel like he was trying.
Yeah, who cares, right? And then he goes out there and he holds the ball for Jaylen Brown, who actually used his left hand, the dreaded left hand he can't use to dunk a basketball. So I don't know, decent representation. It's fine. I don't really care. It's always just fun to see Wine and Gold taking over some All-Star Weekend. So I'm happy with that. If we talk about All-Star Weekend for a second, I want to get out my thoughts real quick. The best thing was Steph for Sabrina. I'm sorry. The dunk contest.
I actually agree.
People keep saying the dunk contest is terrible. And I'm like, it's not terrible. Here's the thing. You can only do so many dunks before there's nothing else. Like, sure, if you bring a trampoline into the equation, you can have all kinds of dunks. You do whatever the heck you want. I've seen better dunks from the trampoline people at the Cavaliers games and the timeouts than I did in that. Like, there's just only so many dunks you can do. I think the 3-point contest is still overall alive. The skills challenge, they've tried some new things ever since Cleveland, and it's kind of worked. But that All-Star game, 211 points. I was told bringing back East versus West is going to bring back this competitive nature. No, the pickup game was more competitive 3-4 years in a row. I never thought go back to East versus West would change a damn thing, and it certainly didn't. I don't really care. Like, these players are just out there to have some fun, but I'm not going to be tuning into this All-Star game anymore unless there's truly a Cavalier or two Cavaliers I want to tune into. Once I realized Mitchell was never going to see the floor, I turned that thing off. Watch All-Star Saturday night, and that's all I really need. Yeah, that's my thoughts on the All-Star Weekend recap. I think the All-Star Weekend, you can't stop it, right? It's a 73-year history, and it is a time for players or fans to see players let loose and have a good time. And I think you keep it because historic. It doesn't really mean you have to watch it every year, but it's there if you want it. That's kind of what the NBA All-Star Weekend is.
I actually totally agree with you. And here's kind of my three-pronged approach as far as the All-Star game and the All-Star Weekend. Steph or Sabrina, probably whoever's idea that was definitely deserves a raise.
Mhm.
And whoever put that production together, I felt like before it started, I was like, this is like WWE almost. It's like bring out the chat, like bring out the villain, and they had the belt and everything. I was like, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Here's my thing: not going to be well received and logistically maybe impossible to plan. Find a nice weather city in February or wherever you want to do it, just for the next one, or just for every 5, or just for every 10. Do the next one and play the game at an outdoor venue. Play the game at an outdoor venue. You could do
That's
everything else
interesting,
inside.
actually.
You could go to Miami and you could set up your own outdoor thing, and you could have, I don't know, can you do pop up 80,000 seats or however many they had?
You could go to a soccer stadium in a nice
do something
like
with the venue. Like it's cool and all, but like I don't know,
Totally
you need something different. And then what I actually liked is that you kind of saw some NBA legends and NBA like name stays involved. And I know that was probably a lot of TNT, but before the All-Star game, they have Jamal Crawford interviewing Jason Tatum or something. That's cool. Bring your former players, keep them involved, and make them want to be a part of the tradition that used to
be
like
homecoming, right? It's homecoming to the NBA.
Absolutely. And like honestly, Indy, like I said though, Indy I feel like is a top 3 NBA destination for an All-Star game. Your people on the West Coast, your people on the East Coast will not agree with me because it's Indiana. But as far as basketball heritage and history and the legends and the greats and Reggie Miller and Larry Bird, like you can't really get much better than that as far as like, okay, here's basketball history. But before we move on to our next topic, the dunk contest, I agree with you. I would say 60 to 65% of the issue is that the dunks are all been taken. They're overplayed. It's tough to be creative. And with all the new rules they have and trying not to make it, 3-4 hours long, I'd say that 65 to 70% of it. However, the 25 to 30% left, 35% would be that it's just nobody's. There's nobody's in this contest anymore. And I get it. There's really no incentive for a superstar to do it. And I'm not totally on board with LeBron never did it. So he kind of, it's his fault. He kind of ruined it. I don't think it all should have been on LeBron's shoulders, even though Kobe did it, Jordan did it. The greats have participated in it, and LeBron kind of was the first person in the chain link to kind of not do that. I'm not going to totally attribute it to him, but you used to have Dwight Howard. You used to have Blake Griffin wasn't even that big, I don't think, when he was in his first one. Like he was a star, but he wasn't like the face of the league or anything. Blake Griffin would be the most recognizable name in these dunk contests the last 3 years outside of Jaylen Brown. I mean, Mac McClung back to back, like he's a G League guy. He's not even in the league, fam.
Well, you know what? It just popping in my head right now. Let's say 25% of that is the problem. You know what the other 10% is?
Go on.
These judges are garbage, man.
Let the players judge.
Dude, I'm telling you, put up like 10 freaking players and just let them.
And why is it so why does it got so convoluted? You have like 9 judges and it's out of 50. Give them you should be able to pick 7, 8, 9, or 10. And if you want to get below a 7, it sucked. No grade.
Yeah, for me, it's like the reason these big names, or even not even these big names, these good dunkers aren't coming is Aaron Gordon. This guy rightfully won the dunk contest over Levine when Levine repeated. I thought that should have been Gordon. Everybody and their mom, I thought that should have been Aaron Gordon that won that title. But if you have idiotic judges who are giving Zach LaVine a 50 for a dunk that he did twice in a row, don't get me wrong, 2 impressive dunks, but it's like, okay, I went between the legs from the foul line, now I went between the legs from the dotted line. Like, Aaron Gordon has a lot of creativity. I thought he was a shoo-in, he was going to win, and then we have this judges. And the judges were on one this All-Star weekend. Mac McClung did a freaking double clutch, lose the ball, reverse dunk. and it's lower than a everyday game dunk. So it's just the dunk contest really shouldn't be the main event anymore unless you really have the names to do it. If you don't have the names, it's like let's go back to WWE. You have the biggest names close the show, and the biggest names right now are in the 3-point contest. The dunk contest is no longer the main event unless you get the big names.
And honestly, and here's the thing: if you have a dying product, and again, these are somewhat unrealistic suggestions, like an outdoor venue, but if you have a dying product, you need to have some sort of incentive structure for the people of your organization to make it a non-dying product.
Yeah.
Now, I know that here's just an idea, right? Snap my finger while you were talking. I know a lot of people, they already have this, but whether it's Nike, who makes $1 billion, or hey, this might be a little bit of conflict of interest, but maybe the NBA could do this. Pull your people together and say, hey, you're going to want to participate in this. We'll tell you why, but make sure you gauge some interest. And then, okay, the winner, either Nike comes out or the NBA comes out, you get a signature shoe if you win the dunk contest. Something like that. Something like that where there's some incentive. Now I get it. Does everyone have a signature shoe at Nike these days? Yeah, or whatever. There's different brands, whatever. There's 1,000 shoe brands and they all have athletes, obviously for their own good and obviously to sell shoes. But think about it like the dunk contest ones, and then you do it every year. The dunk contest twos designed by.
Stop talking. You're giving the world way too much here. But trademark it now.
Every winner designs the shoe all the way, and then okay, all right. That's just something. I'm not even a part of the NBA, trust or board of whatever, but I just thought of that in 5 minutes. So
yeah,
I just don't think they got people behind the scenes, really working their hardest on it. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they know it's going to get eyeballs anyway. Maybe they're just really constricted because it's only a couple days. You got to pick a new city every year. I'm sure it's a logistical nightmare, but not of its former glory that it really used to be. And it is kind of sad to watch. But what's not sad to watch has been our Cleveland Cavaliers of late. Logan, I have 2 bold predictions here. This is a Clutch Points article from Evan Dammerel, another individual who covers the Cleveland Cavaliers. See him over on X a lot, asking good questions, I feel like, as far as, pregame and postgame press conferences. Also writes for Clutch Points. He has 2 predictions in this article for the second half of the year. I'm gonna need to hear if you agree or disagree and what's your reason behind this. So, bold prediction number 1. Evan Mobley will become the second best player on the Cavaliers. So this is for the remainder of the season.
I disagree.
He disagrees. So this is tricky because this says will become, not like needs to be or like he should be. Like this is like actually something that has to come to fruition for this.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me think about this again because right now it's Donovan Mitchell, it's Jarrett Allen. It's not Darius Garland, guys, and it could be, but it's not right now. But the way Evan Mobley was playing going into this All-Star break, I honestly think if this team wants to be as successful as it possibly can, Evan Mobley needs to be the second best player on this team. And that means developing that jump shot like he has. That means getting back to that defensive player of the year, candidacy, which, he never really left it, but just he's been gone for so long. I said at the beginning of the season, Darius Garland needs to be the focal point on offense for us to be as successful as we want. I said, yes, Donovan Mitchell's the best scorer, but Darius Garland needs to be the guy that's dishing, that's running the offense, that's doing this, doing that. And I still think he has to do that. But that's a bold prediction, Jeffrey. I don't think it's too bold. And I think if that prediction comes to fruition, this Cavaliers team can all of a sudden become really, really good if Evan Mobley is the second best player in this team. Hopefully that doesn't mean because the other guys let up.
That's true. It's a difficult and tough discussion because no slight to Jarrett Allen because he really has kind of carried this team at times, especially through the injuries.
Yeah.
But I think this gets broken down to Mobley. It has to be Mobley or Garland. I don't think that this team goes as far as we want them to if Jarrett Allen is your second best player. And that's no slight to him. It just kind of shows the importance of the other guys. And when push comes to shove, when Kobe had to make his moves and his eventual moves, Darius Garland is making significantly more money than Jarrett Allen. Evan Mobley is going to be evaluated and have a bigger contract than this $20 million contract that Allen's on right now. And I understand that that could be more of a credit to Kobe getting JA on a deal. I understand that. However, I think he will become the second best player. I will agree with that take. I'm with you. I'm on the fence. Does Garland have to be the second best player for us to reach, new heights?
Garland just has to do his job. Garland just has to get 8 to 10.
That's fair. That's
Garland
fair.
has to get 15 points and shoot well.
That's
all he's got to do.
Don Mobley at the top, Jarrett and DG just doing their jobs. I like that. I think that's the easiest.
That's probably the way to success.
That's the easiest way to put it. Fair enough. Now I think this one, this was reading this article. I wanted to bring this up to you because I know you're going to like this one. Bold prediction number 2. Isaac Okoro will continue being the Cavaliers' most important reserve. Yes or no?
Yes. And the reason I say that is because, to be blunt with all of you Cavalier fans and all of you Isaac Okoro lovers, I really didn't like this guy very much. And I was pretty honest about it. I just kind of felt that we were overhyping him. And I still think the thought of him being like the be-all, end-all starting small forward for this future, I think that's still kind of far-fetched, maybe a little bit. But what he's done this year, and I've said this to Jeffrey, and Jeffrey is similar to me. We didn't love Okoro at the beginning. We like him. We love all of our Cavaliers, but we weren't with everybody else on X. Let's just say that much. And I've been texting Jeffrey lately saying Okoro has been an absolute star in his role this year, and he has. He's shot the 3-ball better, but that's not really the biggest thing to me. To me, it's like when he's on the court, I'm actually pleased that he's on the court. He's actually making a difference. What he's doing defensively this year, it can't be talked about enough. And I do think, because Isaac Okoro, I think you could argue could be a starter on a few teams around the NBA, possibly, maybe. I know but I think a name like Isaac Okoro, I'm going to see if this makes sense to you, Jeffrey. Mm-hmm. When you hear the name Isaac Okoro, I think like when he was drafted, that guy should be like a starting small forward now for the Cavaliers. It's like, no, he is a bench piece, but he's a really good bench piece. And to me, I think Okoro can have a long NBA career if he can just dive into this role as being the most important reserve on any team and potentially here at the Cavaliers for a while.
I agree with the longevity of his career. It's just that this is his, 4th season?
Yes.
So, like a bench player who's played kind of mediocre at times, as far as I just think about his whole career. Like when you're drafted 5th, if you're a lottery pick, I'm gonna have to think about the entirety of your body of work because you just don't get the slack that you would get if you were somebody who was undrafted or if you're somebody who was a late second rounder. Like you're a lottery pick. Sure. And I understand that his growth could be coming to a culmination here, and he's kind of stepped up and he's, playing his best basketball, and this is, the best he's played in his career. But like you have to understand, like, this is a contract year for this dude. Like, I'm not discrediting him. I'm not taking away any of his work ethic, but like, yeah, like this is your time to grind. Like, have you deserved a second NBA contract? Absolutely. But coming from a 5th overall pick to even a guy we're still talking about as an important reserve, I agree. I think he will continue to be the Cavs' most important reserve.
I think he has to be more than anything. That's what I'm saying.
He's played his role magnificently. That is the key. But the guy in the background of this picture, JB, is going to be the reason he continues to be the most important reserve because I think he's going to be the guy he leans on the most. He's like not even he's my favorite reserve, but like Merrill's not that far away from him. Sure. Like as far as I'm concerned, he's better than Niang, I think, for
way
sure.
I'm sorry.
But Merrill's more valuable than Niang to me too. So like there's a couple of guys here. I get that it shows our depth on the roster, but yeah, I don't think he's a starting caliber player. He fits in good when we have injuries and he has more opportunity to get the basketball, but I don't know. I agree with you. The longevity of his career, I think, will be there. I think he could play well for this Cavalier team. I think it'll be interesting to see how much we do value him moving forward in the future because of, with cap space and stuff. We're going to have to do this
Coming,
offseason.
guys.
But
It's
yeah,
coming.
I mean, yeah, he's a guy that as far as the totality of his game, his improvement overall, I mean, he doesn't grade much lower than an A for me this year. And there's not a lot of guys on this roster, even though we're playing good basketball, that I could say that for. Like Niang has not had an A season. Darius Garland has not had an A season. Mobley's tough to grade with, 6 to 8 weeks out. So yeah, I mean, obviously Damian Jones, Ty Jerome doesn't really play. Like, yeah, he stepped up on a roster that has needed him to, and you have to respect him for that.
Yep, I absolutely agree.
So interesting stuff there from Evan Dammarell over at Clutch Points. But with that all being said, final segment of the show, trying to wrap up here. Logan, game predictions. We see the phone in from Justin. Is anyone surprised? 3 straight Cavs out of the All-Star break.
Now he's not on the show today. Can I just say this guy's a little piece of crap? Like, oh, he finally starts predicting, and it's like, oh, it's not going well. Okay, let's go Cavs. I'm like, did you even think about it though? Did you break it down?
I don't think it's this cut and dry though. I don't see us winning all 3 of these games. We most definitely should, but
coming fresh out of the All-Star break is a little tricky.
Fresh out of the All-Star break is almost, like you said earlier in this episode, it's almost like a detriment, and I don't really know what to do here. This game is at
hosting
home.
The Magic.
I gotta go Cavs here. I do.
I like us hosting the Magic.
Okay, but then here's my choice. I'll do this and this only because this is a back-to-back.
Oh, okay. Give me the Sixers and Cavs as well. I'm telling you, Buddy Hield owns the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers go out and get Buddy Hield.
I feel like we're overthinking this too much, but I don't think we win all 3 of these games. And I've said that, and then they go out and win 9 out of 10, and they win 18 out of 20, and yeah, maybe we're going to drop this game here, but they find a way to win ball games. And at this point in the year, you can't ask for much more. Like, okay, you've been resilient all year, and you continue to be resilient. Respect.
Yeah, the 76ers are just one of those teams, like, even without Embiid, we struggle with the teams that are like run and gun, and that's what they're doing right now. They're doing what we've been doing while Mobley and Garland have been out. I mean, Buddy Hield is just such a pain in the butt. Kelly Oubre, they're both Cavalier killers. They're both on the same team. They both could have been Cleveland Cavaliers. I think that's what hurts the most. But yeah, we saw it before that Bulls game. I told Jeffrey, I'm not mad that we lost to the Sixers without Embiid. It was just simply deflating. It just kind of stinks. It just kind of sucks. And I'd like to think they could get it back, but you're going in Philly. You're just getting your legs back underneath you from the All-Star break. I just don't like the matchup on a back-to-back.
Couple stretch of games here this week. Not as jam-packed as it could be. We do have one back-to-back, and yeah, I mean, I don't think we have a Monday game though, so that's good news. We have a game on Sunday, so looks like nothing on Monday, but lots going on. 29 games left in the regular season, give or take. Yeah, we're going to be watching the conference standings. We're going to be looking at upcoming games. We're going to be predicting how this Cavaliers squad is going to finish. We want to hear from you guys. Comment down below. How would you fix the All-Star game? How would you think Don performed this weekend? Amani kind of showing out for the young guns. And yeah, lots of good stuff on the horizon. Plenty of Cavalier basketball left to watch. And then we'll see what happens after that. But with that all being said, we appreciate you being the pulse of it all.